One. Hello and welcome to Build Horizons, a show about picking the life that you would like to lead and how to make it happen. Today we're going to talk about a number of things, and mostly answering some questions about what are they going to be about, Katie? Figuring out how to form habits,
yeah.
how to get started on things, how to make changes, all the normal fun type of topics. But first, we have an intro video to play.
Sun's coming up and the road's wide open. Lace them up, big dreams unspoken. Laugh till it hurts with miles to go. So run far, build it slow. Chasing down a brighter horizon. You and me in a road unknown. Building horizons. Let's go!
All right, let's get started. I'm Jeff. This is Katie. Hit subscribe, like the thing is saying. And yeah, we'll get rolling on this. While I remember to do some production things over here. Today we're sponsored by Waterloo and Coca-Cola.
Yeah, I wish.
Just kidding. All right, Katie, what is our first question
Well,
today?
I think we're going to talk about what's coming up and soon, right?
Sure. What's
Yeah.
coming up?
Well, we're heading to Sydney.
Australia, down under.
Yep.
Yeah, and we're very prepared for a marathon in Sydney, Australia.
Probably the least prepared for a marathon we've ever been,
There's
but
no probably about it.
yeah.
It is assuredly the least amount of prepared that we've ever been going into a race. I mean, we'll be fine. We'll finish
I
it.
do feel a little nervous about that. But I am glad that I have 3 marathons under my belt that even if it sucks, I know what to expect.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just been a really hard training block just because of the heat. It's in the Midwest. It's been brutal. I know we've talked about it a few times, but this has
Yeah.
been such a hard race to train for.
And
I don't recommend August races, September races.
Yeah, this weekend is supposed to be like our final big hard effort, and
Yeah.
it just there's only so many minutes that you can be outside when it is, the low is 80 Fahrenheit.
Yeah.
And just infinite amount of humidity.
Oh, the humidity is horrible. Yeah. So what are you most excited about for Sydney?
Well, I mean, for one, you've never traveled, at least via plane,
Yeah.
to another continent, another place.
Not like this. I mean, I've been to Mexico, but that
yeah.
doesn't really.
Different. And so I'm excited for you to have that experience. I think that's a fun thing to share together. I mean, I'm a big food person and I like pretty much anything, but I especially love seafood type stuff. And I hear Sydney has some ocean nearby. So that will be pretty exciting.
I was actually Googling what type of foods people should try while they're in Sydney, and oysters was the big one.
Oysters. I mean,
And that's
oysters
what it
are
said.
fine.
I mean, I don't know.
I don't mind a good
So,
oyster, but that's probably not where I'm going to gravitate toward.
Yeah. So we had written, what are you excited about and what are you not excited about? So I feel like I kind of have 2 things. I'm excited for the food, to try food, but I'm also very nervous about the food because as much as I wish I was a seafood person, I in my soul want to love seafood. I absolutely despise it.
I don't believe that you actually want.
No, I
these
don't.
things?
I don't like it. The texture, the fishy taste, it just it revulses me. If that's the right word. I think that's the right word for that.
Sure.
I literally cannot even swallow it. And I'm a little nervous that I'm going to get there and it's basically going to be all seafood. So I'm excited to try it. But the part I'm really excited about is so I'm a dessert girl. I love me a good dessert.
Yeah.
I love trying desserts that are basically famous or well known for wherever we are at, be that a state or different country. And it looked like there was one called watermelon. What was it? I should have written it down.
Strawberry watermelon.
Strawberry watermelon. Yeah. And they said it's one of the like most viral desserts you can try.
The most Instagrammed dessert in the world.
Which reminds me, we are going to actually vlog this out, and it will be posted on this channel whenever we're. So I think we're going to do some fun story stuff when we're there and kind of on the way, but then we are going to put together a video just talking about our time there. I think it'll be really fun. We've never really done anything like that before. We kind of filmed some stuff when we went to Western States, but
What's
never
Western
really
States for the 98% of people who have no idea.
It's true. So Western States is kind of like the Super Bowl for ultra marathoning. It's a 100-mile race in basically 24 hours, one day. And it was so much fun to go to. We got to see some really awesome ultra marathon runners.
It's near Lake Tahoe.
Yeah.
Granted, it is a 100-mile race, and so near anywhere is a little bit
relative.
Yeah,
right.
a little bit relative. But yeah, a beautiful spot.
Oh, I loved Lake Tahoe. Highly recommend. I want to go back. I want to go back to Western States, which we're kind of talking with some family that we might try to make that happen.
Maybe next year.
Yep. So anyways, yeah, we're going. When you guys hear this, we'll be 4 days out from Sydney. Check us out on socials. We're going to post some daily stuff, and then also going to have a little vlog about our time there. I think it'll be really fun.
Yep.
And I'm going in with low expectations for the race. I think I really just want to enjoy the moment and hopefully not feel the post-marathon exhaustion as bad as I have in the past. I think my best feeling marathon at this point was definitely Chicago, and I still didn't even feel great then.
For sure.
But
yeah. So one thing that I was just kind of reflecting on, if you, and this is kind of thematic to the podcast, but if you could go back and, 4 years ago, let's say, and say that if you could have heard all those things you just described, how, on a scale of 1 to 10, how connected to reality would you feel that would have been?
Like going on running a marathon with you?
Running a marathon, going to Sydney, doing all these things.
Yeah, no, I think that's the crazy thing about looking back. I don't think I would have even thought something like that would be happening, especially running marathons with you, because I know we've said it, viscerally hated running. You hated the idea of running, and to think that, and I remember telling you I thought about running a marathon and how not okay with that you were because of how long it was going to take for training.
I mean, I was right. It does take a lot of time for training.
Yeah. I mean, and it's pretty exhausting. You're
pretty
smoked from the day.
Yeah.
And going to Sydney. And I mean, I did think we were going to travel.
Yeah.
But I didn't have Sydney on the radar. I always thought it was going to be more going to Europe first together, because I actually have never been to Europe. I'm really excited to get to do that someday.
We'll do it soon enough.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's just crazy. What about you? What would you think?
I mean, I would say most stuff that I spend my time doing and thinking about pretty unrecognizable. Yeah. I mean, it's a good reminder that if you have hopes, dreams, things that you're wanting to chase, that just because that feels maybe distant or a lot different than your current experience and your current day to day, that changes and changes in probably ways you don't expect. In some ways, maybe you do or hope, but definitely a good reminder that you don't need to just keep going down the path because it's the path you're going down. Mm-hmm. That can change, and it doesn't ever feel like that happens overnight. Like, one day may not feel dramatically different than the one prior, but you can make small adjustments over time and it can be a lot different. So
yeah, it is. It's just like taking those little steps every day, and it eventually ripples into something really big. Okay. Well,
moving along. Time for some questions.
Time for some questions.
All right. So last time we had a little bit of fun answering some unanswered questions on Reddit, and so we're gonna keep down that vein and see if we can have some fun doing that again. So Katie, you wanna?
And hopefully I can talk through these a little easier than I did last time.
Katie's done so much studying. I mean, stayed up all night practicing, making sure that like I can only imagine these are just going to be perfect question reads.
Yeah, and I'm looking at this username, and we're gonna go for it. So this comes from Proc Horudro.
Oh yeah, I know that guy.
Proc Horudro. I think I got that right.
We'll go with it.
Okay, so
flawless.
Can good habits be formed when going through a crisis period? So this person basically said, they have good weeks sometimes, trying to form some micro habits, but then there's just longer stretches where they feel very anxious and hopeless, and they slip and they just haven't gotten to where they want to be. So what are your thoughts on?
Yeah, I'm trying to find my notes. Is that at the top?
Yeah, it's like the second question.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, good. I didn't make any notes on this one. That's perfect.
Yeah. Sorry.
No. So can you make changes during a crisis period? So obviously when you're going through hard times, like that is going to be a big, a lot of mental energy is going to be spent on that. Yeah. And so like, I want to acknowledge that first and foremost. But I will also say that a lot of habit formation is environment based, and environment can be, who you spend your time around, or, where you live and the people around you. But it can also be the stuff that you do in a day to day. And if you're going through a crisis time, that is going to be, something that is different than maybe the typical experience.
Typical environment that you're in, yeah.
And so while not an ideal way to have a environmental shift, it is an environmental shift of sorts. And because of that, that actually is, scientifically proven a time to make change. So, there is that. There's the classic study on the topic is, I think it's from Vietnam or something, where it was something like 30% or 60%, some much higher than the population normally of soldiers in Vietnam tried heroin, and it's a very addicting drug, and so got themselves addicted. But then when they came back to the United States, like they almost all quit because that habit formation was very much tied to that environment, and then coming back, the new environment and things that normally would have been really hard to change. In fact, like the actual success rate of heroin correction in a rehab facility is something like 10%. It was such a big environmental shift that like the actual rate of being clear from that was something like, 90 some odd percent or something like that.
That's crazy.
So, and that's like with addictive substances and stuff like that was true. And so certainly if there are things that are more just habitual, that's even more able to be changed. And so if you have an environmental shift, I would say, while again, not ideal to have crisis be the catalyst, I think it can be a catalyst. And so in that sense, I think if there are things that you can focus on, and one of the other questions, you could talk about like what might be good things to start with. But yeah, I think it can.
Yeah. And I think too, be kind to yourself. If you are going through that, don't beat yourself up if you don't have the best day, get up and try again. Little changes, like we already kind of talked about. If you just take those little steps, it can be big impact. But one thing I was kind of interested about with this question is, I feel like even when you gave up alcohol, and that did feel a little bit of a crisis period for our relationship, how did I mean, you obviously formed really good habits during that because you made a decision that you were going to be done. Can you talk through that a little bit of what was your own personal experience with these forming good habits in a time of crisis and kind of what your mindset was during that time?
Sure. Well, first off, it really does come down to focusing in on the one thing that you want to do better. And some of those things might be, things that need to be precursors to that. So, building I think and this is one of my things I had wrote on the notes to another question, but I'll steal a little bit from it here. I think one of the best habits that a person can do, if you're willing to give it a try, is reading. I think that being in the habit of having input into your brain that is not, social media or just TV or Netflix, YouTube, whatever, having something, and I would lump podcasts a little bit into this, depending on the type. Mm-hmm. But some kind of input that is informative or can give you information or tools. I think that is an incredibly valuable thing. And honestly, I think people who don't read don't give it a proper chance. Most books are reasonably entertaining, especially if they've kind of bubbled to the top of popular culture. It's rare that I buy a book on Audible and it not be at least like something that I finish. Like I've not finished a couple books, I'm sure, but I mean, if it's something that I've found or something that you've found, likelihood of it being at least pretty good is pretty high.
Yeah.
It just by nature of, the fact that you're not finding just a bunch of crap on Audible usually.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think if you're not one to want to sit and read a book, if that's hard for you, Audible or audiobooks is such a great way to get into reading, and because you can literally just pop in your headphones and, listen to it when you have time. I know even for me, I like both. I like to sit and read, and then I also like to listen to Audible, and especially being a busy mom and having 2 kiddos that I'm chasing around and trying to get to places, I will sometimes, if I'm waiting at the bus stop, I will listen to 10 minutes of my audiobook. Just take it where you can.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be a super planned out thing. I mean, it can be, but just take those times and those moments where you're driving in the car by yourself or doing the dishes to listen to your audiobooks, or and then when you're going to bed, if you want to read, like you can read at that point. But yeah, I definitely think people should give reading a fair shot, because it's just such a nice thing for your brain too, to not, I don't know, just to be listening to that or reading that.
Yeah. And to get back to your question, the thing that I did, and I would recommend, especially in a crisis, but I think it's important just for change and habits in general, is not to boil the ocean and figure out what the main thing needs to be.
Yeah.
And honestly, if there's other things, then perhaps indulge in that a little bit in the meantime while you work on the one thing. So like when I stopped drinking, I didn't give a frick about what I ate. Like whatever. Like if I wanted to have a cheeseburger, I had a cheeseburger. If I wanted to have ice cream, I had ice cream. Like this is not a problem to solve right now, like eating healthier. I certainly knew that I wanted to do that, and that would ultimately be a thing that I would try to do better over time. But initially, there was just one thing to focus on, and let the rest of it be sorted out later. And I think that's really important, because oftentimes, like the motivation cycle, there's going to be times where it's high, and this is true if you're going through crap at the time, or you're like, it's just a normal day. Motivation's a weird, fickle thing, but when it's high, you're going to feel like, oh man, I can reflect on all these things about myself, and I have all these things that I want to change, and I'm going to, and maybe you're able to ride that wave for a day or 2 or 3 or 4, but eventually like that will go back down the other side. And, you've built up all these things that you're kind of holding up using motivation. But then you come down the other side and you no longer have the tide of motivation to help hold all these things, and all of a sudden the tide's rolled out and you're still just trying to hold all these things, it's going to fall. If you have just one thing that you're trying to hold on to, you can still hold that even as the tide goes out.
Yeah, I hold it with both hands.
Yeah, hold it with both hands.
Yeah.
I think that's a good thing. That's a good quote. Hold it with both hands. Whatever it is that you're trying to change, hold it with both hands.
Yeah. And it's funny that you say that because when you were going through completely giving up alcohol, I remember you were on a candy kick.
Oh, yeah.
We were like Suckers specifically, is it Chupa-Lupa or?
Yeah, Chupa-Loops.
Chupa-Loops. And it was the Coca-Cola. So we kind of, yeah. So back to, just made me remember that was something that I had never seen you so into hard candy in my life, but
I'm still pretty hard into hard candy, if I'm being honest. That's
it stuck.
That's still a weak spot for sure.
Okay, so we'll move on to the next question. It is from Zari Bakari. And then it is talking about, how do I make a change? They are saying that they have debilitating ADHD and are really trying to get out of basically kind of bad habit cycles. They have clear goals, but and they know what they want, but they don't know how to start. And what are some actual techniques to break out of a cycle? And they actually said, funny enough, I feel like this is a good kind of piggyback questions. They don't have to be healthy ones, just want to get rid of their bad habits to create some good ones.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to sound a lot of the same stuff that we talked about last time. I will say so this question specifically, I can see a lot of myself in this as a almost assuredly ADHD undiagnosed person. And also going through, periods of my life, which is, very much chasing that. And I would say it is a very easy cycle to fall into. So first off, you're definitely not alone. And you mentioned that in the question, but being in that dopamine cycle, whether that's scrolling social media or, whatever other habit that your brain has been hijacked a bit off of, that's a common state right now. But I do think, you mentioned ADHD as a debilitating circumstance for you. And certainly there are negative aspects of ADHD. And I also don't want to overly generalize in this statement, because I do know that it's not like it's like a yes, no checkbox.
Right.
There's varying degrees of that. But I'd say for the vast majority of people, if you can learn how to create a healthy environment for your brain so that you don't get spiraled into these habits, that it can be much more of a superpower than a debilitating thing. And so I would encourage you to change how you frame that a little bit, because I think that can be a massive asset.
Yeah.
So,
and I was looking here, kind of some notes you put is a good book, and then also something like starting to prove to yourself that you can do something like meditation.
Yeah. So sorry, I kind of went on a random ramble there, but yeah, one of the books that I've read on the topic that I really enjoyed and I think would be worth a read for you is Dopamine Nation. I can't remember who it's by, but if you just Google Dopamine book, you'll find it. It's like the most popular piece of literature on the topic. But to your point, one thing that I did do early on and a bunch of changes that I did was meditation, because I had a hard time quieting my brain, and I'm not the sort of person who would naturally incline themselves towards something like sitting in silence for 10 minutes. That is not the sort of thing that I enjoy doing typically. I like to do stuff. But I found that practice to be really interesting. For one, it was so different than how I spent literally every other second of my waking time that it does stand out, and you do reflect on that and you do think about that throughout the day. So it's kind of just because it's so different. How often do you just sit there and not do anything for 10 minutes at any point? I mean, that to me was a big shift, but it is also proof that, because spoiler, if you spend the time to do meditation on a regular basis, you'll get better at doing that, and you are able to have longer stretches of time where you're not just completely bubbling around thoughts. And obviously that goes up and down, but you're able to get better. And I would say meditation is like the antithesis of ADHD dopamine spirals. And so to prove on something that is as counter to your problem that you're describing as possible, I think it's a helpful framing to realize, oh yeah, I can definitely do this. Like I can figure stuff out. I can figure out ways to not just always go to what feels the best at the time. And so that would be a thing I would recommend. And that's coming from a person who generally fairly skeptical on that sort of thing, but I found it tremendously helpful.
Yeah, I remember when you did meditation, which you didn't even tell me that you were trying, you just kind of started to do it. You came to me and told me that you were starting to do it and actually recommended it for me and said that you felt rejuvenated afterwards. You had described it as, that feeling you get after a really good workout, how like rejuvenated you feel. That was how you were feeling after that meditation time. And I do think there's definitely something to quieting your mind and not feeling the constant go, go, go that our society is right now. It's a quiet time. And I think for your body and your mind, it just has such a great result for us to do that. And I think it's something we need to do better about is our meditation. I just remember specifically when you started that and you told me that was so shocking to me because I'm like, wait a minute. I didn't
tell you at first because I was just embarrassed.
Yeah.
Because it's like, I am not this
You're
person.
not.
But I did the thing. And it's a funny thing. Like, why would I be embarrassed about that? I mean, why is anybody shy about mentioning the fact that they started going to the gym or something like that? Like, I mean, I get why it happens and I know what that feels like for sure. If you're in the early stages of something, there's like imposter syndrome and like you've just kind of declared that I'm the sort of person who does the thing. But everybody who's ever started anything has done that. That definitionally is true. So I feel like we should destigmatize the feeling of I'm giving a thing a try.
Yeah.
And that should be a thing that we celebrate, which most people would celebrate with you. The imposter syndrome stuff and how that makes you feel is almost assuredly in your head. I mean, certainly there's some people who are not supportive, but most people are good people and most people are going to be excited for you to try your new thing and hear about it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I totally agree with that. Okay, so I'm going to move on to the next question, which is just right for your own benefit, Jeff, right under the other one.
Okay, got it.
How do you actually build self-control and discipline? And this is from Sufficient Shower 438. And so they said they have few productive days. They really deal with procrastination and they feel disappointed in themselves and they don't want to depend on motivation anymore. And how do they build that discipline? And then you have basically boils down to the question, what would you tell your past self if you had to start building discipline from zero?
Yeah, that when I was reading through, it actually was cut off on like my notes and I clicked into this question and I saw that last little bit. What would you tell yourself if you had to start building discipline from zero?
Yeah.
Very interesting question. I'm curious to hear your thoughts on that, as I consider you as a much more naturally disciplined person. But I can definitely share a little bit from my side. Do you have an answer for like if you had to start from zero? Let's say you woke up from a coma and you're now erased all of the good habits that you've built over time, what would you?
Well, and I actually think so when we decided to start our family, part of the thing that I had to do was really cut back on my exercise in order to do that. And I think, I did basically for, I don't know how many years, 4 years, really didn't, I would walk, but it was nothing to what I had been doing in the past. So I kind of had to rebuild that, desire and that, I don't want to say motivation, but that discipline. And first of all, I was kind to myself because I had little kids, little babies, and I wanted to be able to still be able to be a good mom, but also take care of myself. And I would basically just take it day by day, kind of like what you've said, don't boil the ocean, and don't think about such a huge picture. Just take it, lay your clothes out the night before. And honestly, one of my favorite times of the day is my coffee time. So I would be intentional to go, because I know at this point, like, you weren't working out with me.
Yep.
To go drink my coffee out in the living room, kind of reflect on the morning, and then my workout was the next thing, because this is when I would go to our basement and I would cycle. Mm-hmm. That was what I did because I was able to stay home and not have to leave. Because that was really the only option. But the other thing I did is I found something that I found really fun. Is at that time it was Peloton on demand. I found instructors that I loved, and I really got to a point where I looked forward to that. So, like, I made it fun for myself. Which I know we've also kind of discussed, is I found ways to make it fun. I found instructors that I loved. And I think if you stick with that and you don't, and like, I didn't have to necessarily be doing the thing to be able to find something that made it fun. Like, I would sit on my phone while the kids were napping and kind of read about different instructors or plan out my classes for the next day. I would look at their playlist and see if that was what, bless you. Oh, and the camera even got you.
Thanks, camera.
And I don't know. I think finding ways to make it fun is so important. So which I know I kind of went to the working out for motivation, because I think that's such a typical one that people think of for motivation and, building those good, healthy habits. But it really can be anything. It can be reading, finding something fun to read. If it's eating healthy, find ways to make healthy foods taste in a way that you might enjoy. I think getting the fun factor into it however you need to, and spending the time to think it through on how you can make it fun is really important.
Yeah. Honestly, the last thing that you said there, I think is really critical, is you have to take some time to actually figure this stuff out. Like, you are going to have to reclaim some of your time. The number one way that you end up down a path of, just doing the same thing over and over and over and over again is if you wake up and you go down, that path that is the thing that you don't want, and then you get to the end of the day and you're tired, and then you veg out and do whatever, and then you go to bed, you wake up, repeat. You have to find some sliver of that, whether that's in the morning, whether that's in the evening, whether that's at lunch, something you need to do to take some intentional time to figure out some of this stuff.
One other thing I want to add too is, sorry, I didn't want to interrupt, but I just thought of something, is find times where you have your most energy. If that be when you first wake up, if that be if you have more, more energy when you come home from work, which is, personally, I don't see how that is a thing, but I know for some people that is it. But find those prime times where you feel like you have the most energy to do something and capitalize on that. I think that is so important, and making sure that you get enough pre-rest prior to that so you can actually capitalize on that prime time that you have.
Yeah.
I think that's just like an easy applicable tool that somebody could take that wanted to build that discipline is, okay, when are you going to have the best time for that discipline?
Yeah.
And plan around that.
Yeah. And there's, so this is kind of going into some random sidebar, but I've always wondered how much when people describe themselves as a night person versus a morning person.
Right.
I wonder how much of that is just driven by the habits that they live. Because I think, like, if I were to take a test on myself, especially in the past, I would almost certainly be a night person because I am willing to stay up super late doing whatever and like classic video game till 2, 3, 4 a.m. type person. Like that was my history. But now, like last night we went to bed at 9:30.
Yeah.
And honestly, I could have gone to bed at 9. Some days I do go to bed at 9, like super, super early. But it's not because of anything shifting in how I prefer to spend like my waking hours. Like I do that because I have to wake up early to either record this podcast or go on runs or whatever. And then I just do that, and then that becomes the habit. And certainly that's taken a lot of time to get to that point. But now I'm a morning person in the sense that like it's rare for us to wake up beyond 5:30, something like that. Like, and so definitionally, I'm up in the morning, and I'm definitely most energized in the morning.
Yeah.
But I wonder how much of that is just a summary or a result of how you spend your time, whether you're a morning person or not. And like, honestly, I think if you spend your time and build your habits and build your life around doing certain things, such that you go to bed early, wake up, I find it hard to imagine. And again, maybe I'm just looking at this through a narrow lens. But even as a self-proclaimed prior evening person, I couldn't imagine being more clear-headed, more motivated, more energized in the evening for stuff like this than I would be first thing in the morning. Like when I went to bed in the evening last night, like I can kind of go through like little anxiety spirals and be worried about things. And then on the other side of that, I wake up in the morning like, there's no problems that I can't solve. Like I can do anything. It's all fine. And nothing changed in the 7.5 hours that I was unconscious, but everything changed. Like every part of my brain chemistry changed, and I am in a completely different state of mind in the morning than I am in the evening. So
I genuinely don't know what it would be like to be a night owl. I am, since I was
you've never
young,
been able to hang.
have
So
always been a wake up in the morning singing songs, drinking my coffee, so happy it's a new day. Because I remember in grade school when I would go have sleepovers with other girlfriends or other friends, I was the one that got the pranks pulled on them because I could not stay awake at night. It's like my body just shuts down about after, if I make it to 10:30, 11, then I've made it to basically in my books to like 2 or 3 a.m. But yeah, I can't even fathom what it would be like to be able to just power on in the evening. So I'm a little biased, and yay, mornings, get your stuff done in the mornings. But I know a lot of people prefer evenings. But yeah, I couldn't imagine what that would be like to be able to stay awake so late in the evenings.
Okay. So I want to get back to the question, like, what would you do if you were starting from square zero? And for me, I would think of like which things have the highest leverage on me. So like the natural thing that you go to are things that are a little bit more visible. So like, start running or working out or something like that. That's what people talk about. But I don't think that's the answer at all. I think if you are struggling with this, I think the number one thing that can have the biggest impact, how about the two things that will have the biggest impact? I already mentioned before reading, and we've talked a lot about sleep. I'm gonna go down those two roads real quick and explain a little bit why, but I think those are probably the two biggest things that you can do. One, reading, because it's easy. You can pop on an audiobook while you're doing other things, and you don't really need to fit any more time into your life. You can reallocate stuff just while you're already doing things. And I think getting that voice in your head of positive things that you can intentionally do, it's really, really easy to pick a good, like, okay, I want to learn about this topic, and so I'm going to buy this book, and I'm going to click library on Audible, and I'm going to click play. And then now that's the stuff that I listen to. And I'm going to be better for it for having learned some of these things. You're going to learn stuff over time, and that can shape who you become. So like that's one of them, really easy, and can be something that you just start, and then you're down that path, and you're sold for the next week on how you spend your time, like as far as like just kind of that passive thing. The first active thing that I would do is figure out what time do I need to wake up in my day, and then I would subtract 8 hours, and then I would go to bed. And everything that you do is going to be a lot easier if you're able to figure out how to sleep. And how often are you going to actually go to bed right then? Probably not a ton. But if you shoot for 8 hours of sleep and you get 7 hours and 15, that's going to be a heck of a lot better than what most people do.
Yeah.
And the rest of anything else that you want to do, if you have a reading habit and you're getting rested, everything else is going to be 100 times easier.
Yeah. And I think there's like really applicable ways too for the getting to bed on time. Is like, for me, I have, my nightly ritual, brush my teeth, wash my face, do that earlier in the evening, where you are setting yourself up for success to be able to get to bed early enough. And I know for some people in different seasons, it's just not possible right now. Sleep is hard, especially with little ones and, toddlers and little babies. But, just do the best you can to try to make it as easy on yourself as possible, to make sure you're getting your head on that pillow or on the bed on a time that works. And then another thing I wanted to say is you haven't even told me about it yet, but you were working on a little tool, and I think it was maybe just personally for you to basically like plan out your hours of how you're going. Like, it's kind of like, so you seem kind of like time blocking in a way, like planning out your day. I saw you working on something like that, but I thought you might want to talk about that.
Yeah, maybe here in a second. So first off, I wanted to address, like, if you're in a season, like as we've been, if you have a new puppy or you have kids, like new kids, if you have newborns and stuff like that, and you're going through hard sleep seasons, I would say I just quadruple down on my advice, as that is the most important, highest leverage thing you can. It's going to require a higher effort, but you might have to go to the frick to bed at 6 p.m. I don't know. Like if you're going to have to wake up multiple times throughout the night, the idea of like, well, I'm just going to have to live on, 4 quality hours of sleep, that's just a recipe that the next 2 years are going to be incredibly, incredibly hard. I would say I would just quadruple down on figuring out what that looks like. And, that will require sacrifices, and it is going to probably require you to set an alarm on your phone to go to bed instead of an alarm on your phone to wake up. And, you'll have to, like, if there's any part of the motivation that you can muster, it is going to have to be disciplined in listening to, like, I made this commitment that I'm going to start getting ready for bed now. And once you start down the road of like kind of going through your bedtime routine, it is going to be likely that you'll be able to result in yourself going to bed. But that can't be then disrupted by like, all right, and now I'm going to watch a YouTube video or whatever. Like you have to be done doing all that stuff because you'll just end up back in the same cycle. It's hard to go to bed early, but it's not impossible. And I think it's the highest leverage thing you can do in general. But if you're in a hard season of sleep anyways, I think it is the most important thing that a person can do.
Yeah. And I think too, if, work with your partner, if you have a partner, to make sure that you guys are on the same team with everything, make sure everyone's aligned. Cause I could just see if somebody was like, all right, I'm out, I'm going to bed at 6, that might be a little bit of a shock. But get aligned with your partner, get aligned with your spouse, and make sure that, everyone's understanding what the end goal is. And I don't know, just making sure to keep that open communication if that is your season.
So you mentioned the hours thing in like that inventory stuff that I have. I'll mention that at the end, or at least a little bit later. So we talked about reading, talked about sleep. Sleep being, and just to be like concrete in why I'm saying that matters so much, is it has such an outsized impact on your mental health that that's why I prioritize that, is because you will be in a much better headspace to be able to do your whole rest of your life, and also be able to find other things that are things that you can change and actually have the energy to do something about that.
Yeah.
And it is probably the thing I would also then point to that can be the biggest trap, is if you're so tired that you can never spend the time and energy toward improving yourself, then you're not going to, and then you're going to be still so tired. It's like a vicious cycle. So that's why I think of sleep as the highest leverage thing that you can probably do, along with reading, just because reading is so easy and has such a high potential upside. Because spoiler, even learning about sleep or learning about any of these other things, I think my number one piece of advice is to read a ton of stuff about the stuff that you want to change. Having that constant voice makes it top of mind, and it makes it more likely that you're going to follow through. So that's why reading's on there. And then, so if sleep improves your mental health a lot, the next thing that I would say is just continue down that path, is to set yourself up for better mental health. And the next biggest impact thing, in my opinion, is to find some kind of movement for your body. We are not meant to sit at a desk or sit on a couch all day and then lay in bed and fall asleep and go through your life that way. We need to move. It is also very, very proven scientifically that that does greatly improve brain chemistry
and longevity.
And right. Yeah. There's lots of other reasons.
Yeah, there's
why,
so many.
You should do this. Not dying is cool. Like one of the top things I try to do every day, and that certainly will help you down that path.
Yeah.
So there's other benefits too. But specifically talking about, like, I want to start making positive changes in my life. If you can start reading and you can start sleeping, the next thing is go on walks or start running or start working out. And this will even require you to go to bed even earlier, because you'll be even more exhausted, and you are much more likely to fall off the wagon if you are sleep deprived, because then you're going to want to sleep in and you're not going to have time. And then you're like, oh, I'm going to do this after work instead of before work. But then you realize you're freaking exhausted after work and you just want to go lay down. And so you're going to have to realize that, hey, it's not just an additive thing to start running or start lifting or going on morning long walks or something like that. It is going to have to come at a trade, and that trade is basically, I'm going to probably have to eat a tiny bit more because I'm going to be hungrier. So you're going to have to plan for that. And then I'm going to have to go to bed a little bit earlier because my body actually needs to recover, because I actually use my body. But there is no superpower more than having a week where you do a good job of working out and you get plenty of sleep.
Yeah.
And if you're feeding in your brain through reading, and you're sleeping, and you're moving your body in some way, then you get into some real fun opportunities to take what your days and what your weeks and what your months and what your years are spent on. You can do that with a lot more intentionality if you do those things.
Yeah. No, I think that's really good. I'm going to totally change our topic.
Hold on. Before we do that, I do want to talk.
Go ahead.
Then what's next? Because you mentioned my little hour blocking thing, which
yeah.
I've alluded to one other episode, but I'll have it out someday, and I'll probably make a video about it as well. But I do think that then taking an inventory of how you spend your time is super helpful to do. It's sometimes eye-opening, I would say, would be how I describe it, as to, how much time do I spend on fill in the blank activities. And, that starts by, okay, like if I want, there's 112 waking hours in a week. And if you sleep at 8 hours a day, and so how do I spend those 112 hours? And, you spend 40 of them, or, some odd number of them at work, and then like getting to and from, and then there's like, just other routine things that you do. But then what am I left with? And then how am I currently filling that? And then am I happy with that? And if I want to add something else, what would that look like? And really looking at your day and looking at your week and how you allocate those hours. There's often a lot of room for improvement in that. And again, it's not about boiling the ocean. It's not like, all right, I'm now going to be a perfect schedule robot boy. It is just like, okay, what is my next highest leverage thing that I want to do? Or maybe it's, I've improved a little bit on sleep, but I really want to see what it would be like to get 8 hours. And so this is what I would need to shift around, or maybe I want to work out longer.
And I think there's something to seeing it visually too, like actually seeing that timeline essentially broke out. It's always I know I'm a very visual person, and seeing something like how I'm spending my time, it is sometimes very shocking and also very eye-opening, and then I think visually it can make it almost feel, I don't know, more motivating, more disciplined to make those changes. I don't know. I'm just such a visual person. I think it's a really interesting thing to see.
It's an eye-opening experience.
Yeah.
But that'll be a video or a topic for another day. But
yeah. Okay, so shifting a little bit.
Okay.
I have a question, Jeff.
Yes.
How's learning about advertising going?
Oh, advertising. Can we do is it okay to compliment a person about
you want to do that question? Okay. I didn't know if we had enough time.
Well,
okay,
I just wanted to know. I had to know.
Okay. So we were looking at questions, and one of the ones that popped up is, this is from Initial Maleficent 954. Is it rude to compliment people on their weight loss?
And specifically mentioning, when you say so, not that just that you look nice, but that,
hey, you look good. You look like you've lost some weight. You look great.
Yeah. So I'm curious, because I first asked, like, well, how would you answer this? Because depending on how you answer this makes me feel like we should talk about it on the podcast or not. Because if we just if we have the same opinion, then that's no fun.
Yeah.
But so Katie, what was your answer?
So because we were picking out questions, and I'm like, oh, yeah, kind of. I mean, if someone loses weight, I think it's better to come at them, hey, you look great. I just wanted to let you know. I don't know.
So that's how you would do it?
I don't know. I don't feel like I've been like, oh, yeah, dude, you've lost some weight. I just think that's so, I don't know. I wouldn't do that to somebody. I mean, maybe the conversation could lead there. Hey, you look great. What have you been doing? Oh, yeah, I've been really watching what I've been eating and been trying to exercise. Oh, wow, that's awesome. I'm so happy for you. I just think that if you come at it that hot, it's a little bit weird.
Maybe it is a little bit weird. So as a person who has lost like 60 pounds twice in my life, or 70.
Actually, yeah, I was going to say, isn't it even more?
Maybe even more. Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyways, as a person who has looked very different over time.
Very different.
I've had people on both sides of this. I can say I think anybody who has put in the time and effort and has gotten to the point where someone else is noticing almost certainly for them, it's been a very big deal. And so they are quite aware that they have lost some weight. If it's visibly apparent that you would feel willing to say something, you're not going to be wrong. And so I guess my thing is I've always appreciated when people just say it, because I think it is fun to just talk about, because I've worked really hard at this thing and proud of that. And I feel like I look good. And I'm glad that you noticed that I've lost some weight. That's cool. To the point where I actually, it's funny that the reason why I wanted to talk about this is like I've had a couple people that I've done this to just recently, including the CEO of the company that I work for. Like, dude, you've lost some weight. You look really good. And just having the confidence just to say it, or saying something along the lines of, hey, you've lost some weight, haven't you? And then be like, yeah, trying to get healthy and do some other things. And like, I think it's just a very validating experience to just call it like it is, and not just say like, cause like you can look nice if you just got a haircut, and like, that's cool and all, but it's not representative of a ton of work. I think if you just say it, like just say the thing, that's what like, I don't think we should hide the fact that like we naturally are just gonna be like, proud of, like, a person looks healthier and stuff, and like we should just call it out. Like, they've worked hard at it,
but it
for
can
sure.
depend too. Like if it's someone who doesn't need to lose weight, I don't make.
Well, obviously, don't be an idiot.
No, so like this is for people that had some weight to lose, and
hi, you look like you could die at any second.
Like just
you've been losing weight. That is not what I'm talking about.
No.
I did not. Yeah, I didn't go from 180 to 110. That was not my experience.
Yeah.
So, no. Yeah. Thank you for clarifying. Don't
Yeah,
be a
I know.
complete psychopathic jerk.
Yeah. Just healthier choices.
Do we want to hit that last one that you have?
Yeah. So how's learning about advertising going?
Let's
I feel like this has been an adventure.
Let's talk about the business. Marketing is hard.
Yeah, marketing is so hard. Who knew?
And when I thought about doing some of the initial app stuff and building a software development company, basically, the things that you think are going to be hard are technical and figuring out how to make all this stuff work. Turns out that's just the freaking child's play part of it. Actually learning how to do advertising and what retargeting is, and what, how to set all this stuff up, and A/B testing, and then like optimizing landing pages so people actually do anything that you want them to do. Still feel very much in the middle of it. And so it's just a little bit hard. Like what I mentioned, I kind of get in like ups and downs of like anxiety spirals. Like this is exactly what I'm talking about right now. Like it's like oh my gosh, I'm like, am I a person who can even figure this crap out? I'm now, having slept reasonably well, like I feel back to can conquer the world type energy, but I acknowledge fully, like it is a truly tough thing.
Yeah,
and
it's hard.
Like I'm over here reading books. I'm listening to my own medicine.
I was gonna say
I'm taking my own medicine.
Yeah,
on
you
this.
are, because you
Just
got lots of books and
Persuasion by Robert Cialdini, and going through some other things about just like kind of learning the psychology of advertising and what makes people do things. And man, though, holy cow, it's hard. It's a competitive space. You're vying for people's attention. It's tough. It's a skill, and a skill that I grossly underestimated the amount of time and effort. But one thing that I've mentioned before, but as I go farther and farther into it, helps me stay motivated, is the fact that how many people can do the technical side and also are willing to learn all of the advertising stuff too, the marketing stuff. And so, yes, it is a competitive space, and yes, it is really hard. And there's lots of challenges on both sides of that coin, but I'm willing to keep going, and I'm going to continue to learn. And when I look back, even though it feels overwhelming now, if I had to go back to a month ago with the knowledge that I have, and realize like how much of a gap that is, like it's significant. Like I know a heck of a lot more than I did a month ago.
Yeah.
And that has been true since every every day that has gone by since starting the business, that's been true. And so as I look forward, yes, I don't have all of the things that I need in order to make this be successful, but I am adding knowledge every single day. And if I keep doing that, do I think that the outcome is that we can figure this out? And the answer is yes, I do. And so continue on, continue forward, persevere.
Yep.
But it's
really hard.
Stinking hard.
And it was kind of fun though. It was fun filming the little ad we have for Meta, and Jeff did a great job. And so more to come. Yep. We're going to get better at this and bring it on, marketing.
All right, we're to the housekeeping part of the show. So real quick, if you didn't already, click subscribe. Would love that. If you have any questions, whether it's your own or things you found or things you're curious about, or just want to say hi, email us at buildhorizons.com. And with that, I will turn it over to Katie to sign us off.
Thank you for building with us, and we are cheering you on.